Hey, welcome back to Your Questions, Your Money. Here to answer your questions are New Jersey Congressman Scott Garrett, Danny Babb, author of The Accidental Landlord, John Rutledge of Rutledge Capital Partners, who has sworn already, Chair of Financial Advisory President Scott Keyes, and Sal Piazzolla. He is president and co-owner of skincare company S&G Hampton Sun. Now, you can talk to John and Danny via Twitter. You can log on to Twitter and send them a tweet at the Fox Docs. I love that. All right, on the line is Mike from California. Hey, Mike.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I own several businesses in California, which I can tell you is the wackiest place on the planet to try to do business.
No kidding.
Unfortunately, I'm down from about 1,100 employees down to about 700, and I'm doing everything I can do to move my businesses out of California. But with that said, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. Why is the paradigm in Congress that it's their money and they're giving it back to us instead of it's our money and letting us keep it? And in that context of that question, why don't they do the common sense business thing that any businessman would do if they were running this country in Congress? For instance, cut the capital gains tax, which would loosen trillions of dollars almost instantly, or eliminate for a period of time the payroll taxes. My daughter makes about $32,000 a year. They take $370 every other week out of her check for all federal taxes, not just withholding. Why not let the car companies borrow money at a couple of points over Treasury so they can put the money out into the marketplace to buy automobiles? There's just 1,000 different things that a good businessman would do that is not included in what I call a pork bill.
Congressman?
Well, I hope that this caller, as soon as this program is over, not while this program is on, of course, he gets on his phone and calls up his congressman and asks those very same questions, because I don't know how much support we actually had for our initiatives as doing everything that he's suggesting right there. You know, the idea of you can borrow from Peter to pay Paul is always very good as long as Paul is out there voting for you. And that's basically what happened in this last election, is there were so many people who realized that we've reached the tipping point as far as Americans at this point who are on the dole, if you will, receive more from the federal government than they're paying back. So to answer his question in short, why does this occur? Well, that's what the electorate basically has come to at this point, saying we want more spending, spending, spending. And it takes a little bit more time and energy to articulate all the points that he's making in this call.
John, Scott,
isn't there more in there?
I'm going to help translate that into the main streets now. With the exception of Scott, who is a great guy, Congress is the only whorehouse in America that loses money. And this lobbying thing we were talking about before has gotten these $800, $900 billion spending bills. They ain't going to go away. Tax cuts are the quickest way to do things, payroll taxes. But, Mike, I'm more interested in those 400 people that used to work for you that aren't working for you now. California is a toxic environment to run a business today. I feel terrible that you've got to do that. I know what it's like to be in a business when they're fighting you and you have to shrink and you have to find a way to survive. What is the single best thing out of these things that could help you? Is it payroll tax, or what's the silver bullet?
We might not still have him on. Do we still have him on the phone? No, he's gone.
Okay, well, the payroll tax cap gains can make a big difference. You can be Mike.
A lot more people are talking about this cut in the payroll tax. A lot more people. Why it's not getting done, I don't know. Even Mark Zandi from Economy.com talked to me about it on the phone. He would add that on top, of course, the existing stimulus. But
without getting in the weeds, the problem with that, of course, is where does the payroll tax go? And the average American probably doesn't know where the goes if you read some of the polls that are out there. But it goes for something that is already in the red. And so if we're going to say we're going to have a payroll tax holiday, well, that means that we're just going to see our entitlement program, Social Security, Medicare, what have you, those things are going to go more into the red. And if you want to get in the weeds, but I won't, to say that the way to encourage the economy going is the marginal tax rates, so that small business entrepreneurs such as Sal here would be able to say, every extra bottle that I sell of his product, he makes that much more by lowering those rates.
Right. You guys that are thinking
here.
Yes,
No such thing as a small business, and we both completely believe that. Because small businesses are providing 80% of the jobs. Is that small? Absolutely not. And that's what these people in Congress need to do and focus on, and forget spending all of our money. It's like taking water from the deep end and pouring it in the shallow end and thinking it's going to do anything.
And don't think that you're going to get Social Security to retire on.
No.
You need to earn your own money, and don't wait for your 401k to come back and sit home and just worry about the stock prices. Earn some new money. Retirement is so 20th century. You know, you don't retire anymore. You work and then you die. That's the plan.
Salvatore, what do you want to? How much are you watching Washington? What do you want to see? What would help you?
Well, I want to tell people that it's very difficult out there, and in today's economic times that we're in, I think it's time to get off your butt and be creative and come up with a product.
What have you had to do? What have you had to do in terms of managing your business as the economy's struggled? Even the high end's been struggling, which you've clearly seen in the retailers.
It's difficult out there, no doubt about it. But you still have to maintain your focus and keep driving to think of different ways to be creative and drive business to your company.
Try to innovate, expand, reach out to other markets, offer merchant. You can use authorize.net to allow yourself to accept credit cards from other countries.
Beat up the landlord and get the rent lowered in a tough market.
No.
Right?
All right, let's go to Al from New York. He writes, is now a good time to start a small business? Should I wait until the economy turns around? Look, everybody's nodding yes over here.
Do it
why? But tell me why.
Do it while everyone's freaking out, because you can poach the best people. I just did this. I started 2 businesses last week, okay? One of them, I went and poached the best person for my competitor. And I got her for a bargain. That is a fantastic way. This is the time to start a small business, because you can still get money. People are all worried out there. They're living in cubicle life, you know, which is like this. We don't want to do that. And so get out there and invest everything that you can and pour your heart into this, and you will have, by the time things start coming out and people are spending again, you'll already be in a position and have a product or a service.
We've seen before, history's shown us that when inflation is at its highest, that's when the most innovation has come out. When the unemployment rate is at its highest, that's when the people like Bill Gates and Michael Dell.
We got no inflation right now.
No, I'm just saying, when times are bad,
and
the smart guys come out. All right, George writes, as a small business owner, we run as lean as we can in order to survive. Local government has only become larger and less efficient. Waste and lack of oversight is the rule. The government is not doing enough to cut costs, reduce the government size, and hire people that have actually run a business. Every position I have ever held, if we were not productive, you get replaced with someone that can do the job. That's true, right? That is not the way the government works. People must be held accountable.
We just had a hearing with the SEC this past week. And what was the message there? That the SEC, this was the whole Madoff situation, and they maybe dropped the ball a little bit on that in their research as far as enforcement and what have you there. But what is their pushback there? The pushback is, well, we need more people.
Right.
And what was, compare that to our previous caller who said he's going through tough times and had some hard decisions to make. And what did he do? He laid off people. And what was it, 400 some odd people, I think that they said. So that's the difference between private sector and good sector. Private sector, they make the tough decisions and pick up the good people when they can, but have to lay off people. Public sector says, we made a mistake, so what do we need to do? We need more money and hire more people.
Different people with better skills.
But George, this is the no whining zone. Go to the city council, get them to do stuff, get them to hire better people. But whining about the government is not going to solve your problem or anybody else's problem. Go do something. You know, whether you start a business. I had an uncle who was, we called it retarded in those days. It's the wrong word now. He went around all day long, and he found empty soda bottles, put them in a little wagon, turned them in for 2 cents at the end of the day. Uncle Ray worked. So this is about working. This is about taking charge yourself. Don't talk about the government. Don't talk about the big businesses. Get off our butts and do it.
That is an excellent point, because people fuss about the government, but where does that get you? It gets you a lot of agita, and that's pretty much it.
For some reason, everyone's looking for a handout.
Dagan,
go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, just to make a comment on that, I mean, he's absolutely right. I think the thing that's frustrating to a lot of us in the direction of the stimulus bill, you're the guest that started the skincare company. That's the guy that needs to be rewarded. The caller you had that employed 1,100 people, that's the guy that needs to be rewarded. When we do all this talking about the tax cuts, I think what's important is the philosophy behind it. We've got to reward and revive the animal spirits of the entrepreneurs. These are the guys that are taking risk, investing capital. These are the guys that are creating jobs. They're employing people. And I think that's the frustration a lot of us are seeing with the direction of this stimulus bill is those aren't the people that it's rewarding.
Right. We'll leave it there, but we've got a lot more. Half an hour left. We have Congressman Scott Garrett here, Danny Babb and John Rutledge. They're fired up and ready to go.
Always fired up.
877